So early on in a truther's life, they come to this recognition that there's these synchronicities and coincidences happening in their life. And when they start to see them as being not random coincidence, but something with meaningful and intentional intelligence behind it, making these coincidences and synchronicities happen, that's when a person begins that search for God. Who is the intelligence behind these coincidences? And when they start to recognize that there is a cause and effect relationship between your thoughts and intentions and those coincidences, something happened and it's what you were thinking about and talking about right before. Or something else going on in your life and you recognize the cause and effect relationship and the synchronicity, and you recognize this coincidence coincides with a higher intelligence orchestrating and coordinating it. And then when you start to think of that intelligence as doing things that are in your favor and beneficial to you in accordance with your thoughts and behaviors and life experiences just before that synchronicity happened and that coincidence occurred. And when you start to see this intelligence behind it all and the relationship between this intelligence, you delve into the law of attraction. You start to imagine, let's say, just to ease you into the idea, that your thoughts and ideas and intentions, like they focus so much upon in this law of attraction community, your thoughts and your intentions result in your manifestations, and you got to manifest intentionally. Because you've been doing it the whole time on autopilot, and that if there's a cause and effect relationship between your thoughts and intentions and the coincidences that happen in life around you that are orchestrated by this higher intelligence, then you can configure the causative configuration of these thoughts that lead to those manifestations and these thoughts that lead to those manifestations over there. And you have to begin to manifest intentionally and control that causal relationship. And by doing so, you're communicating with the AI that runs the ones and zeros in the matrix of the world we live in. And by developing this causal relationship and understanding like a formula, a math equation of cause and effect, when I do this, source of all reality gives me that. When I do this other thing, source gives me a different manifestation. And you begin to try to pull the levers and push the buttons of that causal relationship that you've come to understand. There's some sort of coincidence, a pattern here I'm recognizing between me and my life experiences and thoughts and beliefs and the life experiences that unfold around me. And when you discover that there's that causal relationship, you try to manage the inputs to manage the outputs within that equation and figure out that mathematical equation and how your life experiences are resulting in and causing these manifestations that you experience right after or during. Everyone knows what I mean about the synchronicities and coincidences. I've said it enough in this video, I'll try and stop. Because it's that causal relationship that is where you delve into the search for God. You realize, holy shit, there's an intelligence, like operating the matrix ones and zeros, making in mysterious ways. God works in mysterious ways. The big giant head of the AI matrix we live in works in mysterious ways. And once you recognize there is that intelligence controlling those coincidences, your search for that intelligence leads you to things like law of attraction, trying to manage your inputs into the equation that go up to manage the outputs that come down in your future manifestations from the current and present thoughts and intentions, and begin controlling the reality of your life experiences through this process that works in mysterious ways through your relationship with God. That's what it comes down to. So truthership, the path of being a truther, is the path of understanding and coming to this idea that, wow, there's something controlling it, whether it's the Freemasons, a secret society, this big giant overlord power of the Illuminati in their Bilderberg meetings. You start to see that there's another level of control and management and manipulation of society. And you're like, yeah, but they're in league with the bad God. They're all satanic and Luciferian. So they're interacting with that supernatural equation, that causal and effect equation between us and reality. And they're making us manifest these experiences by controlling our emotions and sucking our loose and directing our attention through false flag operations and making us wanting to go hunt down hijabs after the towers fall. And they're manipulating society through our thoughts and emotions and reactions, problem, reaction, solution. This controlling class, these managers, who are way upstream from us in that cause and effect relationship, and they're managing the thoughts and intentions of entire realities to create entire worlds of experience. And that's what their new world order is. They're conditioning all of us for this new reality. They're going to make us manifest because they understand these special Illuminati black magic rituals that they do on these special dates. It's all black magic. Satanic, Luciferian, you know the gift. And you're like, yeah, they got some sort of connection to God. They're upstream from us in that understanding of that relationship. And they got a good relationship. They're in tight with the devil. That's how they create reality. Sure about that? Through their social engineering schemes, with their Edward Bernays and all these psychologists that have all these understandings on how to manipulate people from their Nazi experiments. And they're socially engineering us through this fake news. And they got some masterful plan that's going to lead us into a dystopian New World Order future. And they work in 50-year and 100-year plans and 200 and 1,000-year plans. These Illuminati bloodline families. And they're these power brokers like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, all these others, and the Blackwater and so we recognize there's a level of management and control upstream from us, and that they do manage our thoughts and emotions in order to manifest their desired reality. That's the law of attraction on a massive scale. That's the principles of the law of attraction, to manage the inputs in order to produce the outputs you desire. And so these Illuminati, they're using the law of attraction against us, making us manifest our own New World Order with their Project for a New American Century that they had printed out over a year, maybe around a year, before the towers fell, by George Bush, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Paul Wolfowitz. All these neocons wrote this paper of their plan they wanted to do for a new American century. In order to prevent any country from ever challenging us again like the Soviet Union did, we want to topple 7 countries, and to do that would take an extremely long amount of time, absent some catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. And with that new Pearl Harbor, when the towers fell, they busted out that plan they'd written. Said, hey, there's our catalyzing event. We can do this in like 5 years, maybe 10. Since then, all the countries that were on that list have been taken down. Syria, Libya, Egypt, Iraq, Afghanistan. They only got a couple left on the list. You can guess which ones those are. And so they manipulate us to create their new world, new American century. With this plan that they got, and they're like, how do we motivate the people to make our plan happen and create our world order that we want? Well, you drop these towers and you tell them hijab did it. And they'll be like, let's go, let's roll. Let's go take out some hajis. And over the course of the next 10 to 20 years, we'll have her done. So are those guys working for the devil or God? It sounds a lot like the stuff I hear in the Bible about these tribes that are working for God. And God says, slay all these people, slay all those people. Every man, woman, and child, kill their animals. And when people would say, well, we didn't do all of them, we left some of them, God would punish those people. Like a military guy, when you come back from your mission, you didn't kill every single last Haji, you're in the fucking penitentiary, the military prison, getting court-martialed. You disobeying orders. You were supposed to kill every last Haji, and you left some living? That's it for you, soldier. You're going to spend the next 2 or 3 generations getting punished, however long it was, that God said to that chosen tribe for not doing what I said and following orders. Now you get it. So yeah, in the Bible, that's how they were punished. God sent them off to like a military prison like Gitmo, where we'd take people to where we don't have to follow the Constitution and that part about not torturing people. We can do that openly down here, and we admit that's why we're doing it off the United States continent, so we can utilize that loophole in the Constitution that says we don't torture people, and go ahead and do some torturing, because only the United States has that compact with the United Nations, not Cuba. And we can do anything we want in another person's country, and it's not against the Constitution. So we'll deport Americans and anyone else we got to take them over there and torture them, because that way it's legal. And this is what they openly acknowledge is the reason that they have it offshore. And we've known that forever. That's not a conspiracy theory. The American people were told openly, well, yeah, that's why we do it. Because there's a clause in the Constitution that says something about no torturing people. So we take them over there. Yeah, so what about it? That's been on CNN and Fox and every other news station at least 100,000 times since 9/11. That's one of the ways they can manifest your future. Because without that new Pearl Harbor, you wouldn't be as quick to just abandon your freedoms like the Patriot Act and accept these offshore torture prisons. You'd have something to say about it and say human rights this and atrocity that. But we drop those towers over there and you guys will be like butter. Say, fine, yeah, do whatever you got to do. You stick it to the terrorists over there so we don't have to fight them over here. Alright. So these managers upstream in the process of creation through that law of attraction, these magicians and wizards that pull the strings and run the world, we say they're working for the devil because we can see the results of what they're doing has some help upstream, from way upstream from us, in the level of this intelligence that causes and manages the cause and effect relationship, that creates those coincidences and synchronicities. That's what the work of God in the Bible is all about. And recognizing that, holy crap, that was God worked in a mysterious way, gives one the ability to negotiate with that, which you see the presence of. Those of you that don't recognize that higher intelligence that's running the show, the guys behind the stage on the Truman Show, the guys programming the ones and zeros in the Matrix, to control the world you see and experience in ways that you don't understand. And that's why you say God works in mysterious ways. Because you recognize these black magicians got some magic they're pulling on us, and we can see it when they launch another operation, and how they operate in things like these federal emergency management situations. That's where they roll. Oh, there was a school shooting. Here they come. And you can see their operations in the news. You're like, something's not right here. That school hasn't been in operation for 8 years, or whatever it is. Maybe they want me to shut the hell up. I think it's hunters. I think I better go. I don't want to get capped. I think I'm safe. Right as I said, I think I'm safe. That's those coincidences and synchronicities I was talking about. Totally made me forget what I was going to say. Politicians, this isn't what I was going to say, it'll come to me. But politicians master in the art of directing society upstream through governing. That's what a governor does. Or a city mayor, or the president, or many of these positions at these institutions and bureaus is govern society, the water department, the education department, safety department. Society is managed upstream, openly, by government. And that's the level people try and get into to say, I'm going to be a politician. And then the truthers see that you guys are part of some level above that that's like witches and warlocks practicing some sort of mind control witchcraft. And this whole thing you do in the public, the charade you do of politics of right and left, you guys are on the same team behind closed doors. It's a uniparty. You just pretend to be in opposition to each other for the purpose of managing and controlling society through these two towers that the Freemasons use. You're directing them each direction, red, blue, right, left. Every issue, you divide them into two camps in order to steer them right and left. But those who figured out they're doing it in another way say they're doing some wizardry, some black magic shit. These satanic Luciferians are practicing some sort of voodoo black magic on the public, like a mind control thing, upstream from what we see play out on stage and the skit and the charade that they act out like WWF Pro Wrestling. And we call that wizardry and black magic and witchcraft and warlocks. And is there a good version of that? A white hats version? Yeah, Q. That's what that movement represented. And the white hats that are coming to the rescue. They're the equivalent, opposite, of these black magicians that are controlling society from upstream. But it's hard to tell who the white hats are, because they all act so similar. There's a good group and a bad group. Sure you're not just divided into two on that, just like everything else, for the purpose of controlling and directing society, the Christians or the Muslims? That would mean God and the devil are working on the same team. Jesus and Lucifer are high-fiving, and that's what the Bible says, that they're brothers. Jesus and Satan are brothers. They're both God's children. One of them tells us they want us to manifest one world, and one of them tells us they want to manifest this hell on earth. And the other one says he wants us to manifest paradise. And they split us down the two lanes right there. The angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other. And those black magicians are working for the satanic Luciferian side. So how do you tell them from the white hats? Well, it's hard to, because they act just about the same. See, where I come in and I get paid is I insert myself into the truther community. Anyone questions me while you're ranting and raving? Why do we hear you over there ranting and raving? Oh, I do a YouTube channel. Yeah, where I play a skit and a role to try to attract like flies or bees to honey or whatever. These truthers, and then I'll sell my influence to the government, the CIA, for their mind control projects and say, hey man, I got like 100,000 subscribers over here, and it's these truthers that are a very small select group, hard to get into. Like for an infiltrator, an undercover cop can't get in there because they're suspicious of everyone. They're like, you're an agent, you're an online provocateur, you're one of the government. And I got the attention of like 100,000 of them. What you want me to tell you guys? Because we know you guys do exist upstream through that process of manifestation, by managing their thoughts and intentions and behaviors and desires. Upstream, you create the reality that they manifest downstream. In these MK Ultra CIA mind control projects where you need to do some operations, and part of that operation requires you feeding these truthers some intelligence. Whatever info you want me to tell them, I'll tell them for a fee. But first I got to get there. I got to get all embedded, and they believe me and trust me, and I've earned their confidence, and I can sell that confidence they have in me to the men in black for big bucks. Be like, yeah, I'll say it with a straight face, and I'll say it, and I'll rant it, and I'll rave it to the point where they know I believe it. Anything you want me to, for a fee. And we suspect everyone of being one of these agents. Marfugel's an agent. He's a controlled opposition agent. All this guy, MB3, he's an agent. He's a controlled operation, a controlled opposition. where they infiltrate us and try to fucking lead us upstream. The thought leaders. I worked for a business called Leadership Excellence, and they talked about these thought leaders in society in every field. And they would publish a magazine with little clips and quips that led to an entire leadership development industry where you could sell this type of upstream management to corporations. Say what kind of training and development program you got in place. What do you mean, what kind of training? Yeah, we can make your corporation, your company, the people who work for you do whatever you want. We'll make them dance like puppets. We control them upstream through that thought process. You don't have any personal, professional, and organizational training program? Oh, we can get you hooked up right away for a fee. And we'll get you to do things like Walmart does, like chant slogans in a song every day. We love Walmart. Walmart's the best. Hoorah, hoorah. These teamwork developing operations. We'll control your slaves and make them operate like a hive while they're at work through this upstream operation. So this equation between our thoughts and beliefs that they try to manage upstream to make us manifest their desired reality and fulfill all their dreams and wishes. And that's how they have these big yachts and Ferraris on the sweat, blood, and tears of us. And they get us to do whatever we want, whatever they want. Even send us to war to kill our sons and daughters in a massive conquest for new resources. And they'll tell us it's to protect the innocent and liberate the poor people in the country of that dictator of Syria or Libya or Egypt or Iraq or Afghanistan. We've got to liberate all those people from the tyranny of the dictator that they're under. He's gassing his own people. He's torturing his own people. We got to go free these poor bastards. See, we might otherwise give them opposition, say, no, you can't just go slaughtering innocent people. But they do an upstream operation. We become putty in their hands and say, oh yeah, go stick it to them. Fucking take that guy to Guantanamo and torture the fuck out of him, whatever you need to get the goods on these dictators perpetuating this evil. And we're going to go spread freedom and liberty at the barrel of a gun. Pretty soon the whole world's going to be free. Only way they get you to comply and support. You either support the troops, either you stand behind them, or you stand in front of them. That was literally a slogan after 9/11. They're threatening you with death if you don't support the regime in the new conquest. We're going into Afghanistan and Iraq, and you better support the troops, stand behind them, or stand in front of them. And you get to see the whole operation. There were decks of playing cards of the 52 most wanted terrorists. My stepdad got a deck of those playing cards. They were at every 7-Eleven and convenience store. A deck of cards of 52 terrorist faces on them. This is like Nazi regime memorabilia after they broke up the regime in hindsight, and people look at those playing card decks and go, holy shit, those guys were brainwashed as fuck in a cult that made them all fucking bloodthirsty, and they were like having these cards of the 52 most wanted terrorists overnight. They didn't know nothing about it, but they were buying these packs of cards up, and people were like, yeah, those are the guys, and all the guys under them that we're doing this for. You fucking better support them, or were you going to get shot? Stand behind them or stand in front of them. Mow you down. See, their upstream mind control, cause and effect, stimulus and response. They give a stimulus to the psyche of the collective group upstream, and our response, our reaction, is what creates the reality that they're managing through these Freemasons. They build without bricks. We are their bricks. We build their world. The human psyche, each individual, that's a brick. That's a stone. And they talk about whether you're a sharp stone or a polished stone. They say you want to be a sharp stone, not a polished stone. In order to be a sharp stone, you got to be rubbed hard. Polished stone gets rubbed nice and gentle. But they're the ones that are managed. They're the cattle. They're the downstream of the population. Once you realize there's these two levels of society, the secret societies of an endless variety under many names, and us that don't know what the fuck they're doing, but that they're doing something, and they're controlling us. They're controlling every motherfucker around me. These people are so asleep, they're fucking walking zombies. They do whatever they're told. the strings that are pulled on these people around me that I see being done to them upstream, and I try and tell them the truth, and they go, "You tinfoil hatter, shut the fuck up." You can see, and you're in awe of the magicians upstream that are pulling those strings and how effective they are at making the people around you dance. And it's revealed to you through things like C-19. Oh, we'll never have that here, us freedom-loving Americans. We never stand for a tyranny try and move in on us and take our freedoms. Hell no. We'll go all John Wayne on that ass. Until tyranny knocks at your door and you all bent over and rolled up a sleeve like a bunch of little bitches. And ratted on your neighbor for having people over during the curfew when you were all supposed to be in your beds. And you can see these magicians upstream pulling strings that reveal to you the nature of the people around you in ways you could have never imagined. You're like, holy fuck. These zombies are under such mind control. What happened to the red, white, and blue in the Constitution and our freedoms, guys? Hey, it's for public safety. You need to go roll up your sleeve too so you don't get everyone else sick, but you took it so you won't get sick. That don't matter. You need to support the cause. It's a massive witch hunt. Anyone with the bug is on the receiving end of the witch hunt. You don't want to come up with a positive PCR test, do you? All right, then, go roll up your sleeve and take it. Whoa, dude. What the fuck? You've been watching too much CNN and MSNBC. You're all jacked up on tyranny. You think we're doing the 3 minutes of hate in George Orwell's 1984 against Goldman, the evil guy. Except it's an invisible adversary, an enemy, a terrorist, and we're hunting down that terrorist, and it could be inside of you. You might be possessed. You might be a witch. We might need to give you a PCR test if you don't fucking roll up your sleeve. This witch hunt is serious. And the cops were called, and people got in fights and even killed each other over face masks, much less the jab. So that was a serious witch hunt. That was a fucking brawl, was it not? For those of us that had to resist and not take the jab, with everyone in society trying to tackle you down and plunge it in your shoulder. And we came out the other side and we're still unjabbed. Holy fuck, that was a fight to the death. Tooth and nail. Life and death. And a lot of people died. In weird ways. And are still dying. So a lot of you are going to have survivor's guilt when you find out that you're on the team that's still living unjabbed. And you are the Illuminati. You're part of this secret group that foiled this, that unfurled this plot on society. Poisoned everyone. And you came out living. You came out on top. And when you find yourself to be on the surviving winning team, it's a little hard to still be mad at them. And you find out, I am the Illuminati? I'm the bad guy? Yeah. It was a psychological eugenics operation, Cygenics. Filtration operation, according to the DNA of your mind and your heart and your psychology, a social engineering operation. A thinning of the herd, a pruning of the garden, of the human garden. And you recognize these cattle ranchers are fucking thinning their herd when they want. That's what they do. And you lived. So now are they still evil? Do you have survivor's guilt? Like the cucks in the woke movement. What do you think of that? Maybe you're the new Illuminati. Maybe you're part of the new secret society. Now that you see how society is controlled, that was your initiation. Now that you know this society exists and these controllers that can pull the strings on the population and make them dance like puppets, now you're up a level. Once you know about this other secret society above that which you live in, you're initiated. You just got to give up the whole idea that we're evil. And the only way we could introduce it to you was by telling you that it was all evil. The only way David Icke could get you to believe in reptilians is by telling you those fuckers are evil motherfuckers. Satanic, demonic, interdimensional, shape-shifting, blood-drinking fucking lizard people. In order to introduce you to these 13 families and how it all runs, you got to demonize them, literally. They're doing witchcraft. They're possessed by demons. Because someone could tell you about such a thing and any other way it wouldn't sink in. So the only way they can introduce you to the idea is in an oppositional way to it. So you have these guys coming out on the internet saying, I'm an ex-Freemason, I'm an ex-Satanist, and I traded on them, and I'm not part of their club anymore, and I'm going to tell you all their secret handshakes and everything else, and all the ceremonies and the rituals they do, and I'm coming out and sharing this with the people, so I think you deserve to know, because those sick bastard motherfuckers ain't going to have me at their service no more. But maybe those guys are actually still in good standing with the Brotherhood, and that's the way they introduce it to you. It's the only way you can receive it and go, yeah, some fucking evil satanic Luciferian cult trying to suck our children's blood? Sounds about right, tell me more. If they told you some non-threatening story that didn't fucking have that sting to it, you'd be like, listen to this crazy fucker. So later on, once you find out you're part of these 13 royal families, and you're reptilian fucking overlords, thin the herd, and you were part of the living side, after the thinning process, doesn't that make you like God's sheep, and then you get into religion, God's chosen flock, and all that other shit? And then it's no longer a matter of your moral authority or belief or opinion or perspective. It becomes self-apparent that this higher intelligence that creates the coincidences and synchronicities ran an operation that you could see coming a mile away. They telegraphed it. They telegraphed it during the C-19 operation. They telegraphed it everywhere. They told you that the CDC influenza went from the normal yearly average down to 0.01% of the yearly average. It all but disappeared entirely. During the year of 2020, there was no influenza. CDC told you. They broadcast it. They made sure that there was big neon signs flashing for those who can see them, that this is an operation. You don't want none of this. If you can see this, if you can see my hand up here, I'm talking to you. Don't do this shit. You guys, it's safe and effective. Hurry, go do it. While we're doing this, to make some of you go that way and some of you come this way, in order to divide the population by their psychology and their ability to see this, and those who can't. You the bad guy. Yeah. Look around at who can see. Look around at society at who can see plasma fire and who can't. They can't see it. Once you've seen it, you know it's all around them. Why the fuck is everyone not seeing the trees are burning from the inside? How is this possible? And the fact that everyone doesn't see it is crazier than the trees burning on the inside. And you see the way that people are reacting around you, you're like, holy fuck, they're dead asleep. Why is no one talking about the trees burning on the inside? Why are they not that perceptive? How is it that they're not all talking about this amongst themselves? They can't blame this on the Illuminati keeping secrets from them. They themselves pass it every day. And no one seems to notice. Something's wrong with them. As I'm making this video, you can see the plasma fire on the horizon back there over my shoulder. And they don't see it, and look how much quantity there is. It reveals something to us about the people themselves. Where's my drink? Out for a little bike ride. I don't know if you can see that. And what it revealed to us about the people themselves is very similar to what C-19 revealed to us about the people themselves. That they have qualities of character that you never imagined. And no one could have explained to you and told you that your neighbors would call the cops on you for not being in when there was a curfew imposed and having more than 5 people over your house and not social distancing, that there would be little markers in the store where you walk, telling you which side to walk on, which aisle to walk which directions, and little spots that are 6 feet apart that are telling you how far apart to stand from one another. Like less than kindergartners. We don't even do that to kindergartners. And no one could have told you that, yeah, we're going to run an operation that has everyone in fucking society acting like a kindergartner. When we tell them which little spot on the floor to stand on, they'll do it. And when one of the other ones gets off the spot, the guy beside them in line will say, hey, why are you standing on the spot? Social distancing. And they will police each other. We will have these little kindergartners showing that they're not only doing something that we don't even do to kindergartners, they're doing it to each other. We told them to do that and stand on those spots and make sure that everyone else stands on their spot, and they do. No one could have told you that. No one could have explained that to you and gave you the understanding you now have as a result of that demonstration of why the herd needs thinned. People that lost their job, they can feel what I'm saying. They're like, yeah, because I wouldn't take the job. I lost my job. I had to quit my job. I had to move out of an apartment complex because they started saying only jabbed people get to live here. We don't want you spreading that shit around here. You're possessed by the witch of the witch hunt. And this witch hunt went worldwide, orchestrated and coordinated by a worldwide operation of a higher intelligence, a society of controllers, who otherwise are at war with each other all of the rest of the time, all throughout history and ever since. But for that time, they all came together and said, yes, we all stand as one in the name of the health department, a new authority that overrides all other authorities. The judges, the police, they all say, well, the health department said you were violating the code of ordinance and all this other shit, so we're going to have to do it to you. We now answer to them. The police, they were enforcing whatever the health department said. There's a new sheriff in town, and he overrides all the other departments of authority on that pyramid of power and authority. Oh, we got mosquitoes. So they introduced a new sheriff in town worldwide. Similar to when they shut down all the observatories. When they shut down the observatory in New Mexico, Sunspot, New Mexico, they simultaneously shut down the solar observatories in like 8 or 10 other countries the same day. And in our country, they sealed off the area with military and went and shut down the post office and all the stores and went door to door, saying this was all for someone who was doing inappropriate pictures of kids. But they seized all the mail and made sure nothing got in and out of there. They went in there and they jammed communications with trucks with giant antennas on them to make sure no one was able to call or text out. Any information in there is sealed. No one communicates it to anyone outside on the internet. And they sealed that place instantly with special forces military operations descending upon the plane, like rappelling down from helicopters and shit. Not figuratively, literally seized the town of Sunspot, Arizona. And the solar observatory, like they saw something at the sun, and they were going to shut up everyone who saw it. This solar observatory has been communicating with that one, saying, are you guys seeing this? And the people over there going, yeah, we're seeing that. What the fuck? And there were 6 or 8 of them. And this world authority descends on all 8 solar observatories to make sure no one who saw what they saw gets that word out to the public. Because if the public knows, we lose control of the whole herd. They stampede. The event they've been preparing for ever since might have something to do with what they saw near the sun that they fucking sealed. And truthers who noticed that and went, what the fuck? What kind of agency has authority to shut down solar observatories in 10 different countries at once, all at the same moment? What agency has that kind of pull? Who do you call to get that done? You're like, no, I don't know. There must be a department that we don't know about, the Solar Observatory Security Bureau. And it's above, like, all the other departments, because it made a call, and suddenly all the other departments and all the other countries and their security apparatuses bowed down and said, I'm going to forward your call up the line of power and authority. until it got to the top, because the secret solar observatory, power and authority, override every other one. They call the CIA, FBI, everyone just passes you up the line, says this is above my pay grade. You need to speak to my superiors. And so someone made a call to the Solar Security Observatory Agency, and they activated like military forces, special forces, CIA, FBI, military, army, intelligence, whatever they got to activate from the highest of echelons of power and authority. They made a call, and in 10 other countries, everyone else just bowed and descended with their special forces on their solar observatory just as hard and fast as we saw what happened in ours. So this high level of agency, an intelligence agency, a military operation, a security operation, deployed something from a level of power and authority we didn't understand. We didn't even know that exists. We still don't know what it means. Who the fuck made that call? Who did they make that call to? What such agency has that ability to make that happen? And so it's from the very pyramid of the top of the power and authority by the fruits of it. Whatever agency that is that had the pull to make that happen in all those countries is above that country's equivalents of CIA, FBI, military intelligence, president, etc. Got some honkers. C-19 did the same thing. It showed us there's this level of power and authority up here that we call the black magicians, who are pulling the strings upstream in the flow of consciousness where we manifest reality through our thoughts and intentions. They going upstream and getting people to go get jabbed up and doing things that we never knew was possible. More honkers. My bike out. So now that you're part of the group that knows about this power and authority and this higher level of intelligence and where those black magicians pull the reins from, they can't let you go. You're a loose end. You know too much. Yeah. You don't shut the fuck up, we're going to have to kill you. But now that you know everything you know, we've got a job for you. It's a lucrative opportunity to improve your life. But if not, you know what happens. Those who snitches get stitches and all that shit, right? No more telling people about the Illuminati. You know all those magazines that they did this on? And there's thousands of images of the elite doing this, or some version of it. It was to communicate to you, not amongst each other. It was to communicate to you, the new up-and-coming truther who would awaken and realize, holy shit, there's this secret society, and they're operating from everywhere, and they all got this hand signal that indicates they're part of this society. You can see it by their fruits. Why the fuck, who's making the shots and the calls to make them all do this? Whoever that agency is, it's above what we understand as the little people, the peons. And the reason they're putting that out there is to get your attention and make you aware of their presence. They're not talking amongst each other. They're broadcasting to you. And during C-19, they said, hey, you who can see this, go that way. And they said it and they announced it and they broadcast it. They made it obvious to those of us. The CDC said the flu went away. Yep, there was zero influenza in 2020. If you can see this, we're talking to you. You're the reason we make these signs and broadcasts, and to get your attention, though they can't see the flashing neon signs, we want to separate those of you who can from those of you who can't. And we're the bad guy? Those people fucking called the cops on you for having too many people over. And we separated you according to the psychological DNA and makeup, the content of your character, the fiber of your being. On the consciousness farm, this is a filtration job. that refines and purifies and distills through heat and pressure. And to those of you who made it through the operation, holy fuck, that was a fight to the death, tooth and nail. They made us lose our job and they threatened us with everything. They started making camps in New Zealand and Australia and throwing people in them, saying you're going to go take the COVID cab to go stay at the COVID camp. You passed someone who was positive. You passed someone who passed someone who passed someone who was positive through this app that they sent out to you for tracking and tracing. It was a fight tooth and nail to the death. They were throwing us in concentration camps. That's what those are called. And when you survived on the other side, and you're like, holy fuck. Society turned on me. Suddenly there was a witch hunt and I was the witch. Me and my truther buddies. Fuck, can you believe we made it through that? Where'd they go? How come they're not still demanding I wear a mask and take the jab? Where'd all those zombies go? It's like a signal went out and turned half the population against the other half, or the 90% of the population against the 10%. And they were turned on like zombies and sent after you. Take the jab, like brains, but they were jab. Coming after all of us. And they had the cops knocking at people's doors saying, you came positive, we're bringing you to COVID camp. Either you can take a COVID cab. They'd taken all their cabs off the road because no one was able to take a cab because that's too close a proximity, so you might pass the disease. And they'd turned all their cabs into what they called COVID cabs to go pick people up and take them to camps. And the cops said, you can take the COVID cab and we'll pay for it. Or if I have to arrest you and take you in, it's going to cost you like $30,000 fine. You choose. And so people would go stay at these little camps that were built. Those camps still exist and can be used again for a new operation in the future. They've already acclimated to you to the idea, so it's pretty much guaranteed that they're going to have such an operation in the future, that they use that for again. That was the first time to get you used to it. It's coming again. And that whole first time was a dry run, for a practice run, to establish all the authorities, the chains of command, the lines of communication, and normalize the population to our ability to flex this muscle from this authoritarian position that you never knew existed worldwide. The worldwide, dun dun dun, health organization. And we have established and exercised our power and authority over you, and you guys did as we said, and thank you for your service. 90% of you chased the 10%, and you almost got them. But thank you for your service as you're dropping dead from heart attacks. And then they look over at the whole 10% here holding my beer. I'm the bad guy for noticing. It's called cold-blooded love, man. This is how I show my love. This is how an angel cries. Blame it on my ADD, baby. And so ultimately, if that jab backfires, it's like a witch hunt on the witch hunters. And you, as the witch hunted, you 10% truthers, you, as the 10% who were hunted by those conducting the witch hunt, the most zealous one loved doing it. Others just complied. But it's like a backfiring process that eradicates the witch hunters. And so you, as the witch hunted, who made it through the witch hunt, and can see that it was orchestrated and coordinated by a worldwide organization that flexed its power and muscle and authority, and it was all done by design with intention, even with all the neon flashing signs that they gave you to separate this part from that part, those who can see it from those who can't see it. And those who came out on the other side, eventually the pain will pass and we'll be like, yeah, society needed to get rid of those fuckers that would be willing to fucking witch hunt out like that on their neighbor and snitch on their neighbor. They had the hotline. Call the sheriff. Tell them if you see anyone breaking the COVID rules, the social distancing rules. And people would call that fucking line. My neighbor, he's outside. Yeah, he's out there mowing his lawn. We're under lockdown. And so they're essentially thinning out the population and separating those people that acted in that way from those who didn't. Propagating one and culling the other. It's like how we do to cattle, selective breeding. In order to propagate certain qualities and characteristics and behavioral patterns on the consciousness farm of your livestock, you have to separate them according to their psychological makeup. That's their DNA. It's not eugenics, it's cygenics. And in order to figure out their psychological makeup, you have to hit them with a stimulus and extract a response. And their response, their decision, their choice will make it a process of self-selection. They'll tell you what their psychological makeup is. Given the right stimulus, they will provide you with their response. Their response is the answer to the question. It allows you to thin them according to their psyche. And those of us that made it through the other side that went, I can't believe they witch hunted us like that. And now they're just all cool, like, hey man, people made mistakes, it's cool, let's just move on. Move on, motherfuckers, you were throwing us in concentration camps. Yeah, well, you know, hey, sorry about that. Anyway, now that it's all over, let's go play golf. Motherfucker, what? And families were like, no, you can't come over for Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner. You got to sit outside. We'll bring you a slab. And you got to wear a mask even if you're going to come up on the porch out there. Because you didn't take the jab. Yeah. Matt from Quantum of Conscience literally told that story. That's a real story by a guy who said that's what they told him. You can come over for family dinner on Thanksgiving, but you got to sit out on the porch and wear a mask while you're on the porch. Because your air could float in one of the windows and get someone sick in here just out there breathing. So you got to stay outside because you didn't get jabbed. Even with a mask, you can't come in. You're not safe. So we'll bring you a plate out on the porch. And you got to wear a mask. You got to eat and lift your mask and take a bite and then put your mask back down. That's literally what people were doing at restaurants. Lift your mask up, take a bite, put your mask back down. You would have never imagined that the people you live with were capable of acting this way. No one could have told you this. No one could have convinced you of this by any movie and PowerPoint slideshow, any form of communication to deliver the information. They simply couldn't convey it, like Crazy Jeffrey from oh shit, whatever that movie was. They couldn't have conveyed this to you. You know how those people acted now and how crazy they acted in their witch hunt for all the, COVID people saying, papers please, where's your proof of vaccination? People were mailing out black market phony vaccination cards that said you got vaxxed to give you papers when they ask you papers please to see if you've been vaxxed. There was a black market for the fake vaccination card. That's why half the people took it. And so they could get that card everywhere they go and not get hassled and say they can keep their job and they can get on the airplane and all these other things in society. So when they get asked papers, please, they got the papers to produce. And so people were ordering fake versions of those certificates online. And there became a black market. And then there became laws against anyone selling the fake versions online. And big fines and big prison time. Anyone caught selling fake vax cards, 10 years in prison. Because this is an operation, we ain't going to let you fuck up some guy on the fucking internet selling fake vax cards. No one's been asked for any one of those cards ever since. No one, let me say it again, I'm going to say it 3 or 4 times so it really sets in. No one has been asked to show me your vaccine, proof of vaccination card. No one. There was a hard break, and the last time anyone got asked to show that identification, those papers, please, was like a couple of years ago, and we're only in 24, and it was hot and heavy in 2020. So half the people went and took it, and they got like 70% of the world population, so they say. So it was more like 70-30. Instead of 90% and 10%, it's like 70-30. Afghanistan outlawed vaccines. Anyway, the great farmer in the sky, the great cattle rancher in the sky, is doing his work. And you can see him as God or the devil. But once you see this synchronicities and this operation being done by this higher intelligence that's orchestrating and coordinating and pulling the strings of society from the level of some invisible magician, when you see that, you call that God, you call it the devil, you call it whatever you want. But you know it's powerful and it can make the people around you turn. Like a signal went out, like a radio signal, and all those biobot transceivers suddenly went, incoming message from the big giant head, must kill unvaxxed. And you were on the receiving end of that witch hunt. And a lot of those witch hunters took it. And now it's the witch hunters that were actually witch hunting themselves through a process of self-selection. And they're getting thinned out of society rather quickly, aren't they? So even though they tried to throw you in a concentration camp for a couple of years, that time's over now. And we thin the herd according to a psychology, a quality of character, a cultural aspect, through social engineering upstream in the area of intentions and thoughts and behaviors. Anyone who demonstrated those behaviors that said, I'm going to go, it's like taking a chain letter. You must pass this out to 6 people. But you take that chain letter in the arm and you demand everyone else does too. Just like people who wore the mask demanded that you did too. Because I bent over and took it in the ass, I demand you do too. And now that no one's been asked for their papers for a couple of years, those people are like, fuck. I wonder if I'm next. If I'm going to keel over, I probably shouldn't be playing soccer and stuff, huh? The witch hunters got witch hunted. A reverse psychology move by the great cattle rancher in the sky of his human livestock. Is that God or the devil? You tell me. Huh? For real. Tell me, what do you think? Is it still too early for me to be making these kind of observations? Because I know it comes across and triggers the same emotional response as if I'd made a joke and made light of someone's death. When people say, is it too early? That's what they mean. Is it still too early in this process of us psychologically processing after the death for someone to make a joke? The same emotional response is triggered when someone like me makes an observation. And they say it's still too early. People are still dying. You can't just make light of it like that and suggest that it might be God and not the devil. That's fucking cruel. Don't you know people are dropping right and left, dropping like flies? That's what Pockets of the Future did a series every single day. DLF, celebrities dropping like flies. CDLF. Well, he shows you in the daily headlines all the celebrities that were dropping left and right. Like flies, the same ones that were pushing the jab. Celebrities dropping like flies. He did like 1,000 episodes with that as the title, and each one with a new, different entry into the book of his CDLF diary. While that was happening in the aftermath, the very ones pushing it had their own series dedicated to them on the Pockets of the Future channel. A lot of names you recognize that were the very ones pushing it, that were telling you need to go do your part. We all need to chip in here. The collective safety overrides the individual freedom. We all got to just put that aside. Fuck your freedoms. Who was it that said fuck your freedoms? One of the celebrities said fuck your freedoms. I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger or someone. Fuck your so-called freedoms. Go take the job. We need to make it mandatory. And lock these motherfuckers up and throw them in COVID camps. They won't take the job. Fuck your freedoms. The collective safety matters more than your freedoms. And the medical, the health department, and Bill Gates said that you need to take the jabs, or we're going to throw you guys in jail. So you make the choice. Are you willing to risk not going to jail and taking the jab? Just like those that were told not to fight the fire. Are you willing to risk going to jail for not letting your house burn down? And they're getting people to the point where you're going to have to be willing to not just not comply with the orders and directives, but say to the authorities that show up on scene that you, sir, are going to be detained and arrested if you interfere with my operations. Because me and these 200 guys behind me, we're all the authors of our own authority, and we don't recognize your authority here. And if you interfere with my operation to fight this fire, or to help these starving people in this flood zone, I think me and these guys are going to arrest you. Because all these guys behind me here, they're going to help me keep saving people. So you're going to have to bring a small army with you, because we got a small army of guys here that are going to keep saving people, keep fighting these fires, and say, fuck your authority. And if you interfere with our operations, you will be arrested. Officer, your badge and your gun just isn't going to cut it here. But that would take like a community, because an individual does that and they get overridden. When you push back, they'll find another victim usually. A weaker, softer target, an easier place to displace people. It's designed to discover and extract the rebels and the outlaws and perpetuate them, not eradicate them. You're under the impression that the law enforcement is here to eradicate the criminals and the rebels and the outlaws and the nonconformists and round them up and throw them in jail for breaking the laws. But in fact, the law enforcement is actually just criminal management, and we're perpetuating and cultivating and growing rebels and outlaws on the consciousness farm. That's the desired crop. That's the 10%. The outlaws, let's hear it for the renegades, the song says. Spielbergs and Kubricks, two movie producers that were renegades and outlaws and made you movies like Eyes Wide Shut with that secret society. So law enforcement is actually criminal production and management agency, not trying to eradicate criminals and outlaws and rebels, those that think for themselves and go their own way and say, we're the law around here, and you, sir, going to have to go back to your commanding officer who gave you the orders to come here and stop us from fighting this fire, or saving those starving people that are out there in the flood zone and keeping them from dying. You're going to have to go back to your commanding officer who you're following orders for and say, we're going to have to go back with a small army because those guys got a small army and they don't recognize our authority. So we're going to have to actually go take a small army over there in order to keep them from doing that. And usually they'll say, nah, let them be. The Criminal Management Agency. Not eradication. Where's my drink? The DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, isn't the one eradicating drug running. They're managing it, and anyone that doesn't give them their cut, they come down on with the full force of the law in uniforms and throw you in jail. They're the king cartel, kingpin at the top of all the drug cartels, and if they don't get their cut, the law enforcement army is going to come shut you down, Mr. Cartel Man. But if you give me my cut at the top of the Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA and its agents will overlook your activities. They are the kingpin in the drug trade, not there to eradicate it. The Drug Management Agency. Their Drug Enforcement Agency. That's what it is. It's enforcing them as the kingpin who gets a cut of everyone's operations. And anyone who violates that, the full force of the law in your country be coming down on you. So it is with God and the devil. Becoming the author of your own authority, the good Christians will say that's the devil influencing you. You got to submit to the authority of the good Lord. And any rebels and outlaws, well, that's the rebellious satanic Luciferian spirit. And you got to be able to withstand the witch hunt of people around you that are going to call you Satanist and a Luciferian and a fucking positive COVID patient and say you're a threat and call the health department authorities on you. You got to be able to withstand the attack of people that tell you to wear a face mask when you walk into every institution out there. Because the groupthink mind control is the strongest, oldest form of mind control. And we broke some of you free from that groupthink mind control that you were under and surrounded by. Through the process you just went through, you can see the people around you were under mind control, and they were turned on and weaponized and directed against you. And the witch hunt they stood against you backfired on them and propagated your kind, not their kind. You got survivor's guilt? So what if that's what it is? We're the new Illuminati, and life itself has an initiation process built right into it from some higher intelligence that those fucking Illuminati worship, like the eye at the top of the pyramid. And through these processes in life, we all get put through these illuminating events that purify us in the fires of affliction. Like your peers running around telling you better get jabbed and the cops come and saying we're taking you to COVID camp. And through this initiation process, this higher intelligence is revealed through its fruits of its labor of its ability to shut down all the solar observatories at once and make all the worlds dance to this COVID nonsense. And then as soon as they get done with doing that, they go back to warring with each other. But while we exercise the COVID authority, all the world's medical institutions flex their muscle at once and demonstrate the power of this new global alliance. The New World Order flexed its muscle, and it showed you what it could do worldwide. We know this institution by the movement of the tentacles that we saw making the world dance the COVID tune during 2020. This new level of authority, an intelligence agency, and a military operation at a higher level than anyone knew existed on a global cooperation operation, demonstrated its presence, even if we don't know the name of the institution, which three-letter agency this is. It's a new three-letter agency, a worldwide three-letter agency, showing you that it exists. And now that you know it, you're part of it, because you know too much. We can't let you go talking. We're going to put the people back to sleep after the operation, where we wake some up and say, hey, see this neon sign? Go that way. Everyone else come this way, safe and effective. After we wake people up during that operation and initiate some of them into our group, we put the general population back to sleep. We found those that are awakeable and woke you up. Now we put the rest of the population back to sleep, and you can't go around fucking waking up the sheep anymore, and that's what the is all about. We put this on every magazine cover and every record album, and there's thousands of people showing you this so we could extract those who could see through these processes. And then we put those who can't back to sleep, and we cook them a little longer. Eventually we get some good consciousnesses coming out of there, and we can extract them and reveal ourselves to them in these mysterious ways. And that process of revelation is an initiation into this new group. You're now part of a new group. Can you see this? This sunset is badass. You can't see it really on the phone. I'm going to enjoy this. And now that you're part of the inside club, you can help us cook up more operations like the Sandy Hook at a school that wasn't open for 3 years, just to get the attention of those who can see and do like this, street craft, street theater stuff. They believe in the song and dance. We make them dance like monkeys, and they're highly responsive, and we got 100,000 control levers. You know about that? Because you've seen it not in action, in operation through the C-19, through the plasma fire. That shows you how asleep they are too. and how much total control we have over their mind, that they don't even see the trees around them burning from the inside. Yeah. So now that you know about this higher intelligence agency that's pulling the strings from another level, like the Illuminati, it's like insider trading in a stock exchange. They're above all of it. They know which way shit's going before it goes. They're the ones that control which way it goes before it goes. Everyone else rides the wave of the aftermath of what the waves that they make and the direction they send those waves. Upstream, in the manifestation process with godlike powers. Don't make me turn the zombies around you and flip their switch on and make them attack you again. You know that's godlike powers. Turn those zombies around you against you and you see them as zombies. Now you're like, holy shit, they were set to attack me. And it's like, brains, take the jab, wear your mask, stand on the dot on the floor, walk this direction in the aisles, only coming in at certain hours. We only have certain products on the shelf. Why? How does it spread more disease to have different products on the shelf? Why different hours? Does it spread more at night? If they told you that it only spreads above 5 feet, everyone would be walking through the store stooped over, bent over at the waist, staying below 5 feet tall, because that's where it spreads. That's what they said. And they demonstrated their ability to make you dance like monkeys. Incredible. I got video of me saying, no, I'm not going to let you put a red laser to my forehead, and getting surrounded by security, private security guards at one of the places I deliver to for saying, no, I'm not going to let you stick that red laser thermometer in my forehead. You can do it on my wrist, and it's even more accurate because blood vessels are right near the cervix. Security guard said, I'll call in the office and find out if that's okay. And they said, no. I said, oh, well. He tested it on his own wrist. While there was like 6 cops, private security cops, and 3 cars that swarmed in behind me as a truck delivering a load to a facility, a manufacturing facility. Told him, no infrared laser to my pineal gland, fucker. Think I don't see right through you? You can do it on my wrist. That's the zombies that were triggered around us. Corporate enforcement, self-enforcement. Your neighbors were the ones enforcing it on you. Calling the cops to the hotline to tell the sheriff who's breaking the COVID ordinances. Aren't we supposed to be in our houses by 6? That guy's outside still mowing his lawn. Your neighbors did that. Your family did that. Yeah, you can come over for the Christmas dinner and Thanksgiving dinner, but you got to sit outside and wear a mask. You never knew those zombies around you existed and could had their switch flipped on like that. Only by experiencing it can a person really know what you now know. And it was tooth and nail trying to survive. A lot of people caved, a lot of good people. Because they were fucking out for blood. And half of it was theatrics. So now that you know about the Illuminati, you can help us out in these theatrics. At these school shooting events that have at schools that have been closed for 3 years. And we put out those flashing neon signs for people to see that this ain't real. In order for those that can see it, to see it. That's why we do this on the magazine covers. For those who can see it, to see it. They're not communicating amongst one another. They're communicating to the layer of the population below them that doesn't know about their existence. Hey, look at this Freemason logo over here. Hey, look at this. There's so many people doing that. What does that mean? They got to be part of some department or institution that you don't know about. They're all part of some secret religious thing with a little red string on the wrist. That's the neon red signs that they're broadcasting to the new initiates and the up-and-comers in Earth School. That there's 2 worlds here, a breakaway civilization like the movie Elysium. A civilization that lives in the sky above us without any crime or health problems or economic problems. And comes and goes to that layer up there and interacts with us. And the portal through which they transfer just might be the sun.